I'm the Conservative candidate in Toronto Centre for the next federal election, or by-election, whenever it's called. I immigrated to Canada at the age of 4 years old with my family. My family comes from Trinidad and Tobago. It's an immigrant family that placed a large value on education. And my sister and I both went to law school. I had a master's degree in economics beforehand. We were both called to the bar on the same day in 1993, I think. And went on after that to article with a law firm called Davies Wardenbeck here in Toronto. And then I moved away to do my master's degree in Georgetown and work in Washington, New York, and Brussels as a lawyer, and to work for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which has given me a great platform to travel the world, Indonesia, to see the great volcanoes at Gunung Batur, Machu Picchu, to see Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa, to climb it to the top. And I have really enjoyed that experience, to meet people, to see people, to look into the eyes of people all around the world. That combined with my interest in law and politics, I realized that at this stage in my life it was time to give something back to the country that has given me such a platform to travel the world. And that's why I'm seeking the nomination as the Conservative candidate here in Toronto Centre. You know, I've always been interested in politics. Back when I was a student, I was a leader in the anti-apartheid movement, and I have to, now that 20 years have passed, explain what that is. You know, there was a movement to get people to stop investing in corporations that do business in apartheid South Africa. And as a student at McGill University and the University of Toronto, I led the efforts to make those universities divest successfully. Quite proud of that. Later had the opportunity to meet Brian Mulroney. So I've always had an interest in politics. I was also had an academic interest in free trade, and participated as an academic and later as a partisan, if you like, in the Great Free Trade election of 1988, where I worked here in Toronto Centre for our candidate at that time, Conservative candidate David MacDonald. And then my interest in politics went away as I went away and traveled the world and worked. And I was living in New York City on 9/11, and as I looked out, I realized that my life had changed substantially, that the world had changed, and that I would return to Canada, and that I realized at that moment that my interest in politics had returned, that I realized that there were bigger issues, again, that required the kind of expertise that I think I have in bringing people together and bringing a lot of different disciplines together, and that I could be of benefit to our country. And I had a feeling then that I would return to Canada and enter politics. And when an opportunity arose for me to be nominated here in Toronto Centre in February of this year, I took it, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to run in earnest when the election is called. Well, I think the major political issues here in Toronto Centre are a combination. They are national and they are local. I think crime is extremely important. You know, I live here in Cabbagetown, just steps away from Regent Park and from St. Jamestown. Not just 2 months ago, we had a major murder in St. Jamestown and another one just down the road in Regent Park. A lot of these things have to do with our laws on bail, which is to say people who are criminals or accused of committing violent crimes get out on bail very quickly. This government, our government, his Conservative government, has had a number of pieces of legislation in the last Parliament that were upheld by the Liberal senators and members of Parliament. I want to make sure that those bills are passed so that the victims of crime don't have to suffer as they have in Regent Park and St. Jamestown. I think we need to get our economy straight, and I think we need to deal with taxes, we need to deal with regulation. We need, in short, to deal with serious issues seriously. What I really like about the Conservative Party under Stephen Harper, under Prime Minister Stephen Harper, is that I think a real determination to address a lot of long-standing issues in a serious fashion. And if I had to sort of encapsulate my feelings in one way, I would say that I'm running essentially because I want to narrow the gap between the country that we claim to be and the country that we are. And that has to do with our environmental policy. I don't want just to make large pronouncements about environmental policy. I want to do concrete things to deal with greenhouse gas emissions. I don't want to talk about multiculturalism. I want to actually do things to make sure that new immigrant communities are given opportunities in Canada. I don't want to talk about diversity in ridings like Toronto Centre. I want to make sure that Toronto Centre is represented by a member of a diverse community.